Moving deeply into the now. Welcome back to MetaBook. In the last episode, we explored Chapter 2 and saw how emotional pain forms, how it lives inside us as the pain body, and how awareness, not avoidance, begins to dissolve that accumulated suffering. Now in Chapter 3, moving deeply into the now, Tolle shifts the tone. If the earlier chapters were about identifying the problem, this one is about stepping directly into the solution. Not conceptually, not philosophically, but experientially. The kind of shift that happens not in the mind, but in the quality of your attention. The chapter begins with a simple but uncomfortable question. If the now is the only place where life is actually happening, why is it so hard for us to rest in it? Why does the mind resist the present moment so aggressively? Tolle says the mind has one fundamental habit. It treats the present as a means to an end. We rarely experience the now as an end in itself. Instead, the present moment becomes a stepping stone, something we tolerate only as long as it moves us towards something else. And when life is only tolerated, never lived, the now becomes invisible, an inconvenient delay before the real moment arrives. This is why people feel restless even in moments that are objectively peaceful. You might be sitting somewhere quiet, nothing is wrong, but your mind is pacing back and forth like an anxious roommate. Planning, anticipating, worrying, comparing, rehearsing. Tolle points out that this restlessness isn't a flaw. It's the nature of an unconscious mind. The mind is addicted to psychological time, past and future. It wants motion, not presence. And when you finally try to stop and simply be, you may notice the mind panics a little. Because for the mind, silence feels like death. But this chapter isn't trying to shame the mind. It's showing you that presence is not something you achieve. It's something that's already here, beneath the noise. Tolle invites you to notice gaps. When you listen to someone speak, try noticing the silence between words. When you look around the room, allow yourself to sense the stillness behind all movement. When you take a breath, notice the tiny pause at the top before you exhale. These little gaps are cracks in the wall of thinking. Through them, awareness leaks in. And it's through those small openings that the quality of your experience begins to shift. Tolle says one of the simplest gateways into presence is bringing your attention fully into the inner body, not analyzing it, feeling it from within, your hands, your feet, your chest, your abdomen, that subtle sense of aliveness. Anchoring your attention in the body pulls you out of the momentum of thought and drops you into the now. When you're rooted in the inner body, the mind loses its grip because your attention is no longer feeding it. Tolle then makes a point that is easy to misunderstand. He's not asking you to reject the future or forget the past. Planning is not the enemy. Memory is not the enemy. The issue isn't thinking. The issue is losing yourself in thinking. Presence doesn't erase your ability to function. It removes the unconscious tension around everything you do. When you're present, planning becomes clear and efficient rather than stressful and compulsive. When you remember something, the memory becomes informative rather than painful. Presence cleans the emotional static from your inner space. One of the most profound sections in this chapter is about resistance, how the mind constantly says no to the present moment. Even small things, waiting in line, traffic, a delay, a change of plan. The resistance shows up as irritation, impatience, frustration. Notice how quickly the mind labels the moment as wrong. Tolle suggests trying something radical. Instead of mentally fighting a situation, try aligning yourself inwardly with it, not as resignation, not as passivity, but as an act of sanity, of ending the internal war with what already is. When you stop resisting, a strange freedom appears. The situation may not change, but your relationship to it transforms. Toward the end of the chapter, Tolle describes a shift that many people overlook. Presence doesn't make your life smaller, it makes it deeper. When you are fully in the now, even ordinary moments gain texture. Drinking water, washing your hands, hearing footsteps in the hallway, they stop being background noise and become part of a vivid, living world. You experience life not as a blur, but as something rich and intimate. This depth is not added from the outside, it comes from the stillness inside you. Ultimately, Chapter 3 is an invitation, not to think about the now, but to touch it, to step out of past-future momentum and feel what it's like to be here, in this breath, in this body, in this moment that is already happening. Because every doorway into freedom, peace, and clarity begins in the same place, right now.